to the Talk podcast. I'm very excited to welcome you to season 3. I'm your host, Rika Anoge. I know that's a mouthful, but you can just call me Coach Ricky. I'm really excited to welcome you back to the Talk podcast, where innovation meets technology and our everyday life. And I'm streaming live from Dubai, one of the world's most technologically advanced cities. So you can imagine how excited I am. First of all, I just want to congratulate all of you who have stuck with me all the way, and I can't believe we finally made it to season 3. Okay, I do owe everyone an apology. So I stopped halfway through the second season last year. I was going through a bit of a, career crisis? A bit of a career crisis, and I was trying to sort out a couple of things, my personal life. And I kind of put this on hold, but I'm learning through this, I'm growing through this, I'm realizing that business is something called business continuity, and regardless of whatever challenges, we have to keep going, right? One thing I admire about the pandemic, 2020 pandemic, is even though there was a lockdown, mainstream media still kept on going, although most platforms started using online streaming technology like Zoom and others. But they kept the business going, and that is my learning point from filming this Talk Innovate podcast. So guys, I do promise you this season I'm going to be way more consistent than I was. I'm so happy, so excited to speak with you guys today. As you all know, my podcast is all about technology, innovation, entrepreneurship, and how that makes our everyday life, how we can use that to level up in every aspect of our lives. Today's topic is something I've literally been obsessed about. I've been following the news, and if you're like me, I feel like wherever you are on the planet, whether you're in Asia, Africa, Europe, America, in the last 2 to 3 months, if you use the internet, you've probably come across a story about the Justin Baldoni versus the Blake Lively Hollywood legal battle. I know, and you may not know the details about it, but I know you've heard of it. So that's what I'm talking about today. Today my topic is digital receipts and metadata how technology is shaping the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni's case. Whew, that was a mouthful. Alright guys, I don't want to dwell more on the gossip aspect of it, or whether you're on team Blake Lively or you're on team Justin Baldoni, of which we all know that in the court of public opinion now, majority of people in social media space are tend to leaning towards team Justin Baldoni. But that's not what I'm going to discuss today. Today I'm going to discuss about how technology is actually shaping this case. So if we look forward to, or rather if we look at Justin Baldoni, what is this case about? A bit of a run through in case you've not heard about it. So Blake Lively's canvassing Justin Baldoni for sexual harassment, and also for allegations about him allegedly putting out a smear, or rather carrying out a smear campaign to ruin her reputation. So that's the concept of the legal battle that has been taking the world by storm, including Hollywood. And beyond that, what even made it more interesting and what brought technology into it is Justin Baldoni released lots of receipts to refute the claims, to prove his innocence. And so that brings us to digital receipts. And what even made that more interesting or more easy for the public to follow is his legal team set up a website where they put timestamps of all these receipts to create his own narrative to prove his innocence against all the claims that were made against him by Blake Lively's legal team. And so bringing us back to today, let's even start with web application development. For many people, even to this day and age, even to 2025, many people, when they hear of web application development, they get a bit nervous. They're like, I'm not into coding, I don't know how to do this, or to hire a computer engineer might be expensive for that person. But thank God we have DIY. By DIY, I mean do-it-yourself sites, especially in this age of artificial intelligence, where with certain prompts, you can create templates that you can use for your web application. So we have DIY sites like Wix. We also have Google sites, which is free, and some other web applications or some other web application platforms where you can have a blog and convert that into like a basic website. You don't even necessarily have to pay anything except you want to pay for your domain and host it eventually if it's a robust platform. So these are things that you can do by yourself, and I'm going to drop a link of this in the description below. Now, moving on from the web application side of things, I'm sure most of you listening to me right now, you're familiar with web application. But what really made this legal battle very interesting for everyone on the social media space is the fact that we have TikTokers, YouTubers, Instagrammers all digging up for receipts. So by receipts, what do I mean? I mean proof, some form of backup to show interaction between both parties to see whether one party is lying or the other party is saying the truth. Now, the receipts that have come to light in this case are voice notes, text messages, also videos, you know, like behind the scenes of the movie. You know, for those of you who may not know me personally, I'm also, beyond my career in technology, I'm also an actress, a model, and a singer. And so I've been privileged to be in a couple of movie sets behind the scenes. And we, as an actress, there are many cuts behind the scenes that doesn't get to make it to the movie. I mean, it's based on the prerogative of the director if it doesn't suit the story. And there's so many scenes, like if you put everything into it, it's too much. So many things are cut out. And so there was a scene where Blake Lively's team thought it was just, allegedly, Blake Lively's team thought it was just, you know, there was no audio being recorded. But audio was being recorded, and we saw all that. Now, how does this relate to us? Because I told you earlier on, I'm not really here for the gossip, I'm here for the technology behind this viral legal case. I feel like in 2025, if you are into any business deal, whether you're a startup or if you have like friends that might be owing you money from the last 5 years, you want to prove it, digital receipts are important. But most people, especially ladies who take lots of pictures and videos, complain of not even having space on their phone to keep any receipts, and that's where the cloud comes in. If you're an Apple user, if you're an iOS user, there's iCloud. If you are an Android user, there's also a cloud storage system for those users as well. And if you don't want to go down there, we have Dropbox and other forms of cloud software systems where you can store your text messages, your voice notes, you can do screenshots just to keep on the long run. Because in this day and age, I mean, I love technology, I love how the internet has advanced, but one of the negative sides of this day and age is you can't afford to just keep quiet. Like when I was growing up, I used to hear silence is golden. In this day and age, if you're being accused of something, it lives on the internet forever. So even if, yes, you might keep quiet about it, it might go away. Eventually, people always have something to talk about. But the problem is, if that forms a receipt that will be on the internet for a very long time. So you might as well just come out and dispute it so that whenever years down the line, your future generations, they can go back in time and know that, okay, he or she proved their innocence. This is not true. So this brings us back to digital receipts. So when it comes to recording of phone conversations, I remember there was a time in my life where I used to record phone conversations, but I stopped. I was like, nah, this is occupying too much of my space. And that's where you have the iCloud, where you can use. Although there have been claims that, oh, well, some of these things can be hacked. How safe is it? But well, you can just have your own receipt website. I mean, you can just do it like Justin Baldoni's lawyer and store all that. If you're into any form of business, I would advise that in 2025, you should store up your receipt for at least a minimum of 1 year. And then if you don't need it, 6 months to 1 year. And if you don't need it anymore, you can just delete it and move on with your life. Because what is fascinating for me and so many other people concerning these cases, imagine if Justin Baldoni didn't have any receipts, if he didn't have the text messages, if he didn't have the voice notes still saved, if he didn't have the behind the scenes footage of when they were filming the scene that allegedly Blake Lively's team claimed there was sexual harassment. If he didn't have all this proof to kind of show people his perspective behind that, I don't think the internet would be, I don't think majority of people in the digital space will be leaning towards Team Justin Baldoni. Because Blake Lively, she's very famous, she's married to a very famous celebrity, so like naturally, when you have the higher fan base, naturally, logically, people tend to lean more towards you, and many people have categorize this as David versus Goliath in modern day world. For you, those of you who don't know, David versus Goliath, it's a Christian story of how there's this big Goliath terrorizing Israelites, and David was a savior. He was this young boy, didn't even have the right equipment to use. He just used like I think a catapult and a stone, and he killed the mighty Goliath. So many people are saying in this case, the stone or the catapult, the little stone that David had to destroy to win his battle over the Goliath. In this case, the stone is the digital receipts, right? And so for those of you, if you want to keep your screenshots of your digital receipts, whether it's text messages, phone call recording, voice notes, conversations, and pictures or videos, just images to show proof of certain transactions or proof that maybe your best friend has been owing you $1,000 for the last 2 years. The best way for you to store it, if your phone storage is getting full, we have external hard drives. You might not want to go through that hassle, so I recommend tools like Dropbox, which gives you, I think there's a freemium package where you can have about 2 gig for free. There are a couple of platforms like that. There's WeTransfer, there's just so many others. You can just Google them and you see a host of them. And even if you have to pay monthly, usually the fee is not so much. Most of these applications, they charge maybe from anything from about $2, including iCloud and Android Cloud for Android users. Anything from about $2 to about $15 per month. And sometimes if you're paying for the full year package, it's usually way cheaper. So it's actually affordable, and trust me, if you spend, even if you're spending, let's say, approximately $20 per month just on storing receipts, if you get sued, usually you stand to lose a lot more. So I would just advise anyone watching me right now, in 2025, it is mandatory for you to keep receipts for any kind of business transactions, whether it's your potential partner might be shady or not. I just feel like it should be business practice to store that now. And beyond even legal drama, like anything can happen. What if you lose your data? What if you lose your MacBook, your laptop, or like anything can happen. It's always better to have a backup saved. Like personal story, one of my phone crashed last year, and I've been trying to get it fixed recently, and I've been told, oh, we can get it fixed, but you're going to lose most of your data. And I'm not really bothered about the phone. What I'm more bothered about is my data, because I have some contacts that I haven't even stored that I probably just wrote down somewhere. I have I know some of these applications are backed up, but I'm wondering, was my backup up to date? I'm not sure, so I most likely might lose some valuable data. So imagine if I had a culture of keeping receipts for at least 1 year. Many of all these things I wouldn't even have to worry about it today. So my plea to everyone watching this podcast episode is you have to keep receipts. It is imperative. And if you're feeling lazy, just think about the Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively case, and I'm sure that will wake you up really fast. So moving on from digital receipts, let's go to metadata. For many people who might not be tech savvy, when I say metadata, you may not really understand what I'm talking about. So metadata in basic terms is information about data. I know this feels like I'm repeating myself, but I'll explain further. So let's look at pictures. Metadata about pictures usually holds information like when the picture was taken, the geographical location of where exactly that picture was taken. In some cases, the device that was used to take that picture, the exact time that picture was taken. And in other cases, if that picture is used somewhere else or is edited, it also contains information of where it was edited, the laptop that was used or the device that was used, the name of the person that created the image, the name of the person that edited the image. So metadata actually holds information. It's like the footprint of that. It's like the footprint of that data. I will give an example to make this a bit more easier. If you're an art lover and you've been to like a museum, usually you'll see maybe like a picture like this is the first king of England. It was painted by so and so at this particular place in time, and this is the meaning behind it. So picture you being in a museum, and this is what digital receipts are, or rather this is what metadata is. So it helps to identify digital receipts and also show when it was created, where it was created, the purpose for which it was created, and the person that created it. Now, why am I talking about metadata with regards to the Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively's legal case? I'm speaking about this because it did come up when shortly after Blake Lively filed, either shortly after or shortly before she filed her legal case of sexual harassment and smear campaign, which she alleged Justin Baldoni and his team did to her. It was released in the New York Times. The New York Times released this story exclusively, and internet, her fans and Justin Baldoni's fans started like digging deep to find out what is going on here, trying to find proof of his innocence or his innocence. I don't know if that's a word, of him being innocent or him being guilty, right? And they found that the metadata of the pictures used weren't changed. So from the metadata, they felt like, wow, I feel like the New York Times allegedly might have had this story months in advance than they let on, right? And of course, the New York Times have come out to, say the side of the story, saying no, that is not true, and stating what people are alleging or thinking behind the metadata, the controversies surrounding the metadata of Justin Baldoni's pictures used, and the New York Times that that's not true. So I know that, but I'm not talking about metadata solely because of that. I'm speaking about metadata because there are many people that have lost cases or won cases because of metadata. These are things that people don't really take seriously. So me, for example, I'm a web application developer, and there are many times where I've used images in certain web applications, and I had to remind myself like, oh, I need to change the metadata. But many people might feel like, nah, this is not relevant. Trust me, in 2025, the metadata is relevant. Now, can the metadata be changed? Can it be scrubbed? Can it be edited? Yes. There are tools there are some software editing tools like Photoshop and other tools where you can actually scrub off the metadata and put something new. So for example, let's say you got a metadata from a clothing shop, like you got a free image of clothing, and the metadata is there, and you're developing a web application for a different brand. Like, you would need to change the metadata to that of the brand, especially when you have the license. You've already gotten the license to use that image. It's just more professional, right? And in a case like this Justin Baldoni's issue, you never can tell what's going on, what business transactions are going on, what could be used in your favor or what could be used against you. So yes, there are tools out there, and in most cases free tools where you can edit metadata, where you can completely scrub out the history behind the metadata of those images. And if you're a lawyer and you're looking for proof out there, like, not everyone is tech savvy, not everyone knows about editing, manipulating, or completely deleting metadata. So I would suggest that whatever digital receipts that you are using to try and prove your case, you should look into the metadata as well. And so I know all of you are wondering, okay, for some of you who are purely into tech, you've been following my podcast and you're wondering, wait, this podcast is about technology. Why is she talking about Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively case? I mean, this is like the hot topic right now. Wherever you are in the world, you've heard about it, whether you want to or not. It's in CNN, it's in mainstream media, it's on social media, it's all over the place. But what I want you to take out of this is how is tools you can use to edit, to check metadata, edit metadata, and also store your digital receipts, as well as being able to build web applications for yourself, even if it's not for a legal case, if it's just for your brand, building your brand. It's very important, especially in this day and age where the economy is what it is, and everyone is being encouraged to have, multiple streams of income. So this is for you. I forgot to tell you about checking the metadata. So yes, I've told you there are tools like Photoshop, Adobe, and other software editing tools where you can actually edit the metadata. But to check the metadata of any digital receipt is pretty easy. All you need to do, whether it's a MacBook you have or other kind of laptops or desktops you have, all you need to do is check the property. So the property behind an image or the info, even on your phone, you can just click on information behind this picture. You'll see the size, you'll see the date when it was shot or created. In some cases, you'll see the name of the author or the name of the artist, the name of whoever created it. You'll see the location as well. And it usually varies. So just check whichever laptop, phone, whichever digital device you're using to view that digital receipt. Go to the properties or information, and you'll be able to see details about, or rather the metadata about that digital receipt. So I hope that you've been able to learn something new. I'm very excited to be back in front of your screen, guys. And in this series, in this new season, I'm going to have some amazing guests doing great things in different aspects of technology that directly impact our lives. So please stay tuned and don't go anywhere. I do want to compensate you guys because last year, because there was such a huge break, I was dropping my podcast on Tuesdays. So for this season, I'm going to be dropping it twice a week, on Tuesdays and on Thursdays, new episode. It's just my way of saying I'm sorry for the long break, and I'm back better and stronger than ever before. Thank you so much. If you have any inquiries or you want to join my podcast, please send an email to topnovate@gmail.com. And if you want to support this platform in any way, you can just, on the description below, we have PayPal links where you can support this podcast. Thank you so much, and I look forward to having innovative conversations with you guys. Bye.